I hope your day is going well so far. Today, I'm going to be discussing my complete personal financial journey since graduating college in 2019, where I started with $41,000 in debt, to today, where I will soon achieve a net worth of $300,000. I'll be sharing changes in my salary, changes in my investment strategy, and mistakes I've made along the way. Before we get into that, I must stress that I'm not a financial expert. I'm only sharing my personal financial journey. Nothing in this video should be taken as financial advice. It is simply for entertainment. Please, do your own research for your personal journey, as everybody's situation is different. Here it is, the whopper dog of a video sharing my financial journey since graduating college. I can't continue without saying how grateful and fortunate I am for having parents that provided a lot of financial support during college. Despite finishing with $27,000 in federal student loan debt, if not for them, it would have been over 3 times that amount. There's always a component of luck and privilege to a lot of people's journeys, but in addition to that, I've made my own decisions while navigating the game of life, all while exercising financial discipline, which has helped me get to where I am today. Now let's jump back to 2019. My first job out of college started in July of 2019. It was a temporary job on the West Coast where I started out at $21 an hour with per diem. Per diem was a daily amount of tax-free money, which was meant to cover food and housing, even on days off. You would get $35 a day if you used a company card for a hotel, but if you paid for your own housing, you would get $95 a day. Although these per diem amounts may not sound like much, they quickly add up to a substantial amount of income. Early on, I realized this. If averaged over an 8-hour workday, the $95 comes to an additional hourly rate of $11.88 an hour. I did the math of renting a room in someone's home for $800 a month, and just after 9 days, my rent was covered for the month, and I would pocket the remaining 21 days of per diem, which added up to $1,995 a month, all tax-free. So I moved into that room, which quickly allowed me to start saving money. At the time, I had very little financial knowledge, so all of my money stayed in a basic savings account, where it would earn a fraction of a percent in interest, all while I paid the minimum monthly amount on my student loans. This continued on until January of 2020, when I was hired on as a full-time employee, and unfortunately lost the per diem, given I would no longer be considered out of state. My hourly rate increased to $24 an hour, but losing that per diem was massive, given it equated to an $8.88 an hour reduction in pay. Not much changed until March, when COVID shut down the world. Luckily for me, I worked outdoors, so life didn't really change much. At the same time, the government paused the payments and interest on federal student loans, which was a massive benefit for me financially. It was around this time that I learned about high-yield savings accounts. I opened an account where I planned on saving as much as I could, with the goal of gaining interest while waiting for student loan payments to resume, and then do one big payment to hopefully pay it all off in one go. I would end 2020 with a gross income of $58,864. I'm not sure of my exact net worth at this time, but if I had to guess, I would estimate it being around 0 or negative. As we continue, I'll have more records as the years go by, so you'll get a sense of how my net worth has changed over time. Outside of COVID, nothing really changed financially for me up until April of 2021, when I got a new job in the same industry, making $35 an hour with a $55 per diem on each day I worked. The reason I got per diem for this position was that travel was more common, so they would kind of give you an extra bonus for that in order to cover your expenses while on the go. I can't recall exactly when, but at some point in 2021, there was a sweeping change in pay for everybody due to some areas unionizing. So my pay went from $35 an hour with the $55 per diem to $48 an hour, and I still got that $55 per diem. Both increases in pay allowed me to greatly increase my savings. I still only had my high-yield savings account at the time, which I kept contributing to. Based on the title, I stated that I started with $41,000 of debt, yet have only mentioned the $27,000 of federal student loans. My mom had taken out a private loan of around $14,000 for my college, which also had my name on it in order to help me build my credit. She said that she would be the one paying the loan, but given I had a good job and was able to save a lot of my income, I surprised her by paying off the entire loan in one lump sum to avoid having to pay interest on it. This felt great, not only to know how much money we saved in interest payments, but to also give back to my parents for all those years of support. The next big financial move would come in June of 2021 when meme stocks broke the internet, specifically AMC and GameStop. This was unfortunately my introduction to investing. I got caught up in the hype after the spike, and I began purchasing shares of AMC in a taxable account I created in Fidelity. In August of 2021, I opened a Roth IRA and immediately utilized such a powerful account to buy more AMC. In October of 2021, I picked up a few individual stocks in my taxable account, which were Apple, Nvidia, Autodesk, and AMD. In my Roth IRA, I also added Apple and Nvidia. Over the course of 2021, I would purchase close to $8,000 worth of AMC, which obviously was a huge mistake, but there's always a silver lining. Although these were high-risk investments that cost me thousands of dollars, looking back, I'm so happy to have just gotten my feet wet, which then led me to really delve into the world of investing. It was around the end of 2021 when I came across a YouTube channel run by a guy named Joseph Carlson, who had an investment portfolio that focused on dividend growth stocks. I was hooked on the idea of dividends. The fact that my initial investment can increase with share price appreciation, all while the company is giving me money that I can reinvest into the stock, sounded like the ultimate money hack back in the day. He used a platform called M1 Finance, which was a fantastic platform due to the ability to automate investments. Another cool feature with M1 is that you can share your own portfolio, and luckily for me, Joseph Carlson had a link to his at the time, so I created an account and copied his portfolio, to which then I made my initial contribution of $5,000. This would be the start to what I would consider a real investment strategy. I'm not going to list each individual stock in his portfolio, but it consists of two ETFs, SCHD and SCHG, and 17 individual stocks. So a quick summary of 2021. I changed jobs and made $35 an hour with a $55 per diem. Not long after switching jobs, I got a raise and began making $48 an hour, still with that $55 per diem. I paid off $14,000 of private student loan debt. I was holding money in a high-yield savings account with the goal of paying off the remaining $27,000 of federal student loans that was paused due to COVID. I began my investment journey, first starting off with individual stock picks, but then ending the year with a more comprehensive plan by copying the M1 dividend portfolio. I invested around a total of $19,093. I lost $2,137 due to stock values decreasing, leaving me with a total value of $16,965 in investments. I earned a total of $106,057 in gross wages. Unfortunately, I don't have an accurate net worth for 2021, since I didn't do a good job of keeping track of all of my assets and cash at the time. If I had to guess, I would say that my net worth is around $15,000, given I likely had a decent savings of cash in my checking and high-yield savings accounts, in addition to my investments. You can see a screenshot of VTI showing the market at the end of 2021 relative to the 5-year range from today to get a picture of where the US stock market was when I started to invest. As you can see in the image, we were right around the peak of the COVID run-up, so 2022 would be a test of my discipline. Before going over 2022, I just wanted to quickly talk about the remaining structure of this video. The remaining overviews will be different from what you've heard so far. By this time, I would say the foundation of my adult life and finances has been laid, so I will mostly be going over year-end reviews of my salary, investment contributions, and changes in my net worth. I'll also mention any changes in investment strategy and different accounts or asset types I may be utilizing. Around March of 2022, my investment strategy changed slightly. I learned more about ETFs, like the S&P 500 and VTI, and how they have returned an average annual gain of over 8% over the past 30 years. An ETF, or exchange traded fund, is a managed fund that consists of multiple stocks. When you purchase an ETF, you're purchasing a small percentage of each company within the ETF. They are a great way to add simplicity and diversification to an investment account. You do pay a fee for these funds, but they're usually very minimal. The fees for the funds I invest in are all around 0.03% a year. This means if I have $10,000 invested, I pay a fee of $3 a year. In March, I also began contributing to my 401k, starting with a 9% contribution so that I would get the maximum amount of employer contributions. The total amount contributed to my 401k in 2022 was $5,686. My employer contributed an additional $2,437. I opened positions in ETFs in my Roth IRA where I contributed $6,000 total in 2022. $2,100 went into VOO, which is an S&P 500 ETF. $1,500 went into FZROX, which is a total United States stock market mutual fund. And $2,400 went into SCHD, since I still had the dividend buck. For my taxable account in Fidelity, I contributed an additional $8,750. I purchased $3,600 of VTI, which is another United States total stock market ETF, and I purchased more NVIDIA and opened positions in some other software stocks. For my M1 account, I would contribute a total of $18,225 to this account. This was mostly due to automated weekly contributions and some lump sum deposits. The portfolio did not change too much. I still finished with the same number of stocks and ETFs, but I sold and bought some companies along the way. I finished the year with a total of $22,440 in this account. $3,006 was cash sitting waiting to be invested, and $19,434 was in actual holdings. In June, I purchased $10,000 in I-bonds since inflation was high and the bond interest rate was based on the inflation rate. I believe it was around a 9% interest rate when I started my position in I-bonds. My 2022 gross income was around $105,000. I can't find the exact amount, but based on tax filing documents, this is the best I could estimate. Earlier, I mentioned that 2022 would be a test of my discipline. As you can see, the overall market dropped 20% this year. I didn't panic. I just continued with my contributions, knowing that this was a long game. So here's a recap of values for 2022. I earned approximately $105,000 in gross income. I invested a total of $38,661 across all of my accounts. I purchased $10,000 in I-bonds while also contributing to my high-yield savings account. I still didn't keep the best track of all my cash and emergency/student loan funds, so it's difficult to say what my actual net worth was to end 2022. But if I had to estimate, it would be around $50,000. 2023 would be a bit of a shakeup for me. Right off the bat, I was laid off. This sudden change in losing my source of income caused me to stop contributing to all of my investment accounts. I collected unemployment for the entire duration of my layoff, where I would get $405 a week. Luckily, I had an emergency fund saved up, so I didn't need to sell any assets to cover my expenses. I just tried to reduce my spending as much as possible. Luckily for me, rehiring began, and I was one of the first ones to come back in mid-April, earning the same amount as I was before the layoff. In total, I was laid off for a little over 4 months. During this layoff period, I learned about an investment strategy known as the Boggleheads method, and it's incredibly simple. You have a portfolio consisting of the total United States stock market, the entire international stock market, and bonds. Depending on your age, you can adjust the ratios. I chose to have 0% allocated to bonds, given I'm still very young and I don't quite need the safety and stability of bonds just yet. What I love about this investment philosophy is the simplicity, with the proven track record of returns. You don't try to time the market, you just always buy on a regular basis. This could be weekly or monthly, just as long as it's consistent and it fits within your budget. Here's a breakdown of my investment accounts for 2023. For my Roth IRA, I contributed $6,500 in June, and I bought FZROX, which is a U.S. total stock market fund, FZILX, which is an international total stock market fund, SCHD, and O. Given the new Boggleheads philosophy, I did sell most of my individual stocks in my Roth IRA and funded the remaining ETFs with the proceeds. I sold VOO since FZROX is essentially the same fund, and it didn't make sense to hold both. By the end of June, I was left with only FZROX, FZILX, SCHD, AMC, and O. O is a real estate investment trust. Think of it as a company that owns commercial real estate and pays a relatively high dividend. These dividends are taxed differently than other dividends from stocks, so that's why I kept it in this account, due to the tax savings. My Roth IRA would end the year with these values: FZROX at $9,215, FZILX at $3,248, SCHD at $3,979, and O at $843. I did still keep my shares of AMC because at this point they've basically gone to zero, and given no taxes are owed in this account, there would really be no tax benefit of selling at a loss. So I just continue to keep the shares, even to this day, in the off chance it pops off again, or to simply serve as a reminder of where I started and how far I've come. I would finish 2023 with a value of $17,391 in my Roth IRA. For my 401k in 2023, I contributed $8,870, and my employer contributed an additional $2,205, leaving me with an ending balance of $22,010. For my taxable account with Fidelity, starting in June, I would begin to sell or transfer all of my positions. I transferred Apple and VTI to my M1 taxable account and sold the remaining positions. I did sell NVIDIA at this point. Just for fun, I calculated its value today. I had roughly $5,000 worth of NVIDIA when I sold it. If I had kept it, today it would be worth around $40,000, which kind of sucks, but at the same time, I'm doing so well, so I don't really mind. After selling and transferring positions, I would only have AMC in this account, valued at $140. The reason I kept AMC was for tax purposes. If I decide to sell a position that made a lot of money, I could offset the capital gains with the capital losses of AMC and reduce the amount of taxes owed that year. For my M1 taxable account, starting in 2023, I transferred $1,500 of the $3,000 in cash to my checking account due to the layoff scare. In 2023, I would contribute and invest a total of $11,550 to this account. I reduced some of my individual stock holdings, and I would finish the year with $43,504 in this account. 2023 was also the year where things were pretty much back to normal regarding COVID. That would mean my student loans would need some attention. Fortunately, my plan worked out, and I saved enough money to pay it all off at once when payments resumed in October. At this point, I was now debt-free, which is an amazing feeling. I also began tracking my net worth in a spreadsheet, largely due to a huge milestone. On November 28th, 2023, I added up all of my assets and it totaled $106,700. $668. My net worth just crossed the $100,000 mark for the first time. On the same day, I sent myself an email with the subject of 100K net worth. In the body of the email, it reads, "Congrats on reaching 100K. Let's see how long 200K takes." I'm so happy I sent myself that email, as it marks a moment in time when I reached such a huge financial milestone. I would recommend everybody doing the same when you reach your personal milestones. It can be saving your first $1,000 or your first $100,000, but do it as a way to mark your progress, and over time you can see how far you've come. In 2023, I would earn a gross amount of $84,880. So heading into 2024, I was now debt-free and I had a net worth of over $100,000. My last net worth recording for 2023 was on December 15th, where I had a total value of $115,386. To kick off 2024, I would sell my I bonds, where I would receive $10,940, which was a gain of $940 in interest between June of 2022 and January of 2024. The reason I wanted to get out of I bonds was due to the interest rate of the bond changing. Therefore, it was no longer the best place to store my cash with little risk. This is when I learned about Treasury bills, or T-bills, which had a higher interest rate and matured in a much shorter duration. So I put the $10,940 from I bonds into T-bills. I have a whole video explaining my reasons for purchasing Treasury bills. Be sure to check it out. I maxed my Roth IRA in January with a $7,000 contribution, where I purchased more FZROX, FZILX, SCHD, and O. This account would grow to $28,194. This would be the first year I tried to max my 401k, and it was a success. I contributed $23,422. My employer contributed $3,196, bringing my total value to $56,262 for the year. On paper, it says I contributed over the limit, which was $23,000, but I reached out to my company and Fidelity, and it said it had to do with some carryover or some way the paycheck was split, but all in all, they said not to worry about it, which was good news. My M1 taxable account pretty much stayed the same in terms of the types of investments. I was contributing $250 to $275 automatically on a biweekly basis. In total, I would contribute $7,850 to this account. I did add another stock as a one-time buy for $1,000, which was CrowdStrike. I purchased it after the price plummeted, after they had a software glitch that bricked a lot of Microsoft PCs back in July of 2024. Ending 2024, this account would reach a value of $62,413. Another milestone was reached this year, and that was to have $100,000 in investments, not just net worth. I reached this on May 15th. The last net worth entry for 2024 was back in July, where I had a net worth of $144,045. If I had to estimate my net worth in December, I would estimate it to be a little over $190,000. I worked a fair amount of overtime in 2024, so it was my highest earning year so far. I would earn a gross income of $125,818, which proved to greatly accelerate my savings. I can't recall when, but I did receive a $1 an hour increase. I believe it came around June of 2024, bringing me to $49 an hour, still getting that $55 per diem. In 2025, I continued working for the same employer, but unfortunately around April, contracts were renegotiated, and in order to secure the contract, we had a bit of a pay cut. My hourly rate went from $49 to $51 an hour, but I lost a $55 per diem. The $55 per diem averaged over an 8-hour day is $6.88 an hour, so I effectively saw a pay cut of $4.88 an hour. It was sad to see the per diem go, given it was all tax-free, but I'm still so thankful to keep my job and to still be making very good money. In 2025, I would earn a gross total of $113,179. I again maxed my 401k in 2025 by contributing $23,500, and my employer contributed $3,042, bringing my total to $95,542 at the end of the year. For my Roth IRA, I contributed the max, which was $7,000. I did sell O, given it was the last single stock, and I'd rather just be in ETFs or mutual funds for this account. I did open a position in SCHG, which is a growth-focused ETF that mostly consists of tech stocks. I hold this in this account, given I'm still young and can take on a bit more risk at this time. My hope is that this fund will experience a large amount of growth over the years, and one day close to retirement, I'll exit this position and put the money into the remaining 3 funds, or possibly bonds, while avoiding taxes on any capital gains I have. There has been more talk of an AI bubble, so maybe I'll reconsider this ETF, but time will tell. I'll end the year with a total value of $41,499 in this account. For my M1 taxable account, in September, I added VEU, which is a total international stock market ETF, in order to gain more international exposure. Previously, I only held an international ETF in my Roth IRA. The reason I decided to add it when I did was due to AI making up a vast majority of our stock market in the United States, and there's still some fears of there being a bubble, so I wanted to be more diversified in case there is a larger crash. Otherwise, it was just business as usual with the bi-weekly contributions. In total, I would contribute $7,350 to this account. The total value of this account is now $80,065 to end the year. Outside of investments, I built up a larger amount in T-bills, still dreaming that one day I may be able to own a home. I was able to save up $35,000 in T-bills, which will hopefully be used for a down payment one day. The average interest rate of the bills I own are over 4%, which is quite good for a low-risk place to store cash. Some milestones reached in 2025. On January 26th, I achieved a net worth of $202,528, which is amazing since at this point it has mostly been passive contributions in my 401k and the bi-weekly contributions in my taxable account to get me there. I did reply to the 100K email and noted how long it took to go from $100,000 to $200,000 in net worth. It took 1 year, 1 month, and 29 days to increase my net worth by another $100,000. It's fascinating to see how much the market influences my net worth. Just after the Trump tariff scare, I recorded my net worth on April 5th, where it decreased to $186,959, which is a reduction of $15,569 since January. But again, it was a bit of a test. How would I react? I would think a lot of people panicked and sold some of their assets. I just held steady, and I honestly laughed when I saw how much my accounts dropped, given I had already been tested by AMC, and I knew my investment timeline was decades, so a little scare here and there didn't really bother me. Since then, the market has exploded. My last net worth reporting for 2025 was on December 5th, coming in at $275,784. I also exceeded $200,000 in investments. On October 7th, I had a total of $209,558 across all of my investment accounts. So that brings us to 2026. I'm currently working on the video and it's February 28th. I just calculated my net worth and it's now at $290,874. And of that amount, $244,077 is in ETFs and stocks. My financial plan won't change much at all this year. I moved some stocks around. I transferred all of my single stocks to my Fidelity taxable account and kept all of the ETFs in my M1 taxable account, mainly for organization. I did pick up some individual stocks, which were some space stocks, as I think it may be a very large industry in the future that could see a lot of growth. I consider picking individual stocks my form of gambling. All of my individual stocks make up roughly 11% of my total portfolio across all of my accounts. So it is a small subset of what I would consider to be a very strong and a very low risk portfolio. Of the single stocks I own, 90% of them I've held since starting the dividend-focused portfolio in 2021. Since then, they've seen a massive gain of an average of 60%. Just a little side note, I haven't calculated this until making the video, but to give a breakdown of all of my investments, 67.98% of my portfolio is in the US total stock market, 7.25% is in SCHD, 6.2% is in SCHG, and 7.09% is in the total international stock market. And then I have 11.48% in individual stocks. So to even further simplify this, you could say roughly 92.91% is in the US stock market and 7.09% is in the international market. I'm happy to have done this calculation. I knew I was definitely weighted more towards the US market, but I didn't realize it was that much. I figured I had around 10 to 15% in the international market. Perhaps a future change could be to see if my 401k has an international ETF that I could start contributing to. That way I could try to get my international exposure closer to 15 to 20% of my total portfolio. Something I'll have to look into. As mentioned in my T-bills video, I am transitioning away from actual bills, and instead I'm contributing to an ETF that tracks treasury bills called SGov due to its greater liquidity and simplicity. Outside of that, nothing should change in terms of my strategy and the amount I'm contributing to all my accounts. I still plan on trying to max my 401k, and I already maxed my Roth IRA for this year. So what goals or milestones am I hoping to reach in 2026? I think hitting a net worth of $300,000 is almost a guarantee, as I'm currently $9,126 away at the time of making this video. It may be a stretch, and the market is going to be the main factor, but if I could reach $300,000 in just investments by the end of the year, that would be incredible. Like I mentioned before, you really start to see the effects of market swings and compounding as your investments hit 100K. And it only gets more drastic as the total investment value increases. Currently, I have $244,077 in investments, meaning if my account changes by just 1% that day, it would have fluctuated $2,440. If I didn't contribute at all and the portfolio saw a 10% gain this year, that's a gain of $24,407, which is insane. I do believe a lot of people can reach this one day, as most of it comes down to consistency. I recommend adopting the mindset I have when it comes to saving money, and that is, it's not about making the most amount of money as quickly as possible. It's about finding the most efficient place to put that single dollar you earn from working so hard, such that your money can start working for you. Some people will get to where I am a lot faster than I did, while others will take a bit longer. But the main thing is, just get started, especially if you are young. As mentioned on the YouTube channel, The Money Guys, if you are in your 20s, you are a billionaire of time when it comes to investing. Well, that was quite the video, laying out how I started with $41,000 in debt and a meme stock to achieving a net worth that is soon approaching $300,000. All in less than 7 years. If you made it this far while watching the whole thing, kudos to you. It means so much to me that you'd stick around all the way to the end. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and share it with a friend. Comment below if hearing my story motivated you in any way to get started. Or for those of you that already started your journey, did this video provide some excitement or reinforce your personal strategy? Thank you all so much for tuning into this one. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take it easy.
Get on my skulls. Lol. Warden's attacking me here. Swapped him. He's super low.
Ooh, f***ing parry the bomb. Parry the bomb and it works. Ooh. There you go. He's laughing. I gotta go in. Homie chuckling. Homie chuckling there. I gotta go in. I'll kill it.
Still not dead, Jeremy.
Yeah.
My God, guys!
Do we just
Oh
end?
wait.
You bops here on me. I need help.
Are we ending or what are we doing?
Next shortly.
I thought that was the end.
No, you gotta do it again.
This game is fun. Oh, it's a Crown King. Oh, it's doing the thing. Get out of there. Oh my gosh,
That
they're
might be
all
dead.
around me, boys. Where were you?
I don't know what the hell is that.
What knocked
You
it?
get bounced all over the
Yeah.
I
place.
don't want to play.
Yeah, I guess just fall back.
It's awesome. Less than
We
a
lost
minute.
Hayes.
Well.
Get out.
I have 20k souls.
Team. 20k.
Alright, I have refresher, so when we get back
What do we
in
do
there,
with
drop a
20?
bunch
What
of
do you do with
zombies.
20k souls?
They're pushing blue hard.
What are you gonna do? Push blue or something? Speed up on
Yeah,
you.
that's a good item.
Yeah,
What's the matter, organics?
It's like, what to buy? Get them zombies. Get in there, zombies. Yes. Get them all.
You thought we were in your game, Bebop, but you're in my game, bud.
Jesus Christ. The zombies are destroying them.
What are you gonna do? Yeah, that's right, run. Run away.
Your chops there.
Yeah, seeing them lined up like that.
You're welcome.
The mid bows?
Guess we
Mid-mouse,
could
yeah.
just secure the win.
Mid bows.
Doesn't even matter what we do. Hayes will go feed.
My zombies are gonna keep them busy. They just keep going in there. So. Great. So much damage.
Just push blue, and then doesn't even matter if they take our.
I mean, it's literally already on green, so that's one down.
Adding stats.
Initiate stat padding.
Yeah, somebody's gambling to the right.
A green walker is under attack.
He's doing something to the right. I don't know.
Are we pushing to win here?
Yeah, we're pushing. Win. Better believe it.
Bebop just came up.
Okay. Pussy time.
Nice try. Face me and die.
Oh god. Fucking running right toward me with the bombs.
Gotcha.
Keep throwing your lives away. Fine by me.
I won't kill it all the way. Whoa there, Kyle. Oh,
No,
no,
oh.
you don't. What are you doing?